Hey guys, what's up? Good evening. So, just a quick heads up. Number one, thank you for helping me get to 26,000 subscribers. It's really crazy because it wasn't until January till I got my 10,000. So you can see just since January of this year that I've grown by another 16,000. So I'm on my way to quadrupling that number, hopefully by the end of the year. But anyway, the change that I want to make is just to let you guys know that I am going to be posting videos hopefully every single day, and I'm going to start doing it on a schedule. So literally time schedule 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, United States, Washington D.C., New York, time zone. So just a heads up, and also thank you guys once again. So in this video, I'm actually answering a question from Flame 2057, also from somebody else, and I don't have their name in front of me, but I actually got this question like 3 or 4 times, it seems like, in the last couple of days. Another thing too is I do get all of your comments, guys. Some of you guys have sent me some real deep comments, and it's very difficult, number one, to respond to some of it, but I do plan on it. And sometimes it's just difficult with scheduling and things to give it the proper amount of time. So just to let you guys know that if you send me a message, I do get it and I do read it, and I suppose I should at least just respond and say, you know what, I'll try to respond sooner. But anyway, just sorry to say that, because I know that there is mail that sometimes goes unanswered, and it's not unread, it's just unanswered. So the question though was, how do you get better with algorithms? And this is being asked of somebody like myself who is self-taught. I'm a senior programmer, but I am not a math whiz. In fact, I would argue that I'm not very well. I'm not bad at math. I'm just not somebody who sits around and likes to solve algorithmic problems. I do feel very satisfied when I actually come up with a solution that parses data in a way that I want it to be parsed, or that if I'm doing basic game programming, which I've only really scratched the surface with game programming, I get a lot of satisfaction when it comes to integrating some basics in physics to where I'm telling something to walk forward and telling it the speed, and if you get into a proximity of something else, you know what I mean. So there is algorithms that are looked at to figure out, but I'm basically to figure out proximity and stuff like that. So I am not a huge algorithm guy. There's all kinds of different algorithms that you're going to find in life. One interesting quote that I wanted to share with you guys is this is from Donald Knuth, who currently is over at Stanford. Absolute genius. He wrote this, it's really a multi-volume of work called The Art of Computer Programming. He's considered the father of analysis of algorithms, which is according to Wikipedia, so I'm sure that there's some sort of link of where that comes from. But the bottom line is that this guy is a major figure in computer science and algorithms. And but he says people think that computer science is the art of geniuses, but the actual reality is the opposite. Just many people doing things that build on each other like a wall of many stones. So he is true in that sense. And also, instead of just building on others, I would add to that you build on what you're learning. I mean, so whatever you need to write code, right? So all the knowledge in the world is not going to help you without actual action. So really it's having knowledge and then taking action that makes you bigger, stronger, more powerful. And I think it's the same exact way with algorithms, because the type of programming that I do now, I wouldn't have been capable of doing when I just got started. So not only is it stones that I learned from other people that have made my job easier, it's also stones that I'm adding that I've put in many years ago that are adding up this own stone foundation that I have, that is myself. So I think it's an interesting quote. If you guys wanted to read more about Donald Knuth, you can read about him here. But there's also this video on YouTube I would recommend. So I think that's it's pretty interesting, just hearing him speak. So you ask about algorithms. One of the places I would actually send you is probably Unity, just because for me, I didn't really get into a whole lot of algorithm. Most of my algorithms were based around text and pattern matching and using regular expressions to say, okay, how can I grab this particular data? Or I'll use algorithms, but mainly it's all about data scraping for me. That's mostly where I'm doing it. And that's a big part of algorithms. Obviously, look at the amount of money that Google makes off of text algorithms. But they're not just a single algorithm anymore. So anybody that thinks Google is just one set of this perfect algorithm that's worth hundreds of billions of dollars, that's clearly not the case. They had a unique idea that they built upon, and they built up their own stone foundation of, this algorithm on top of this algorithm on top of this and this and this, and then eventually they now have like thousands of things that are looked at. Plus, they have the sheer amount of volume of data where they can, be sloppy with analysis, and basically just through brute force trial and error, you can find correlations just through the big data that they have exposure to. But if you're looking for yourself just to build upon like physics and things like that, then I would probably suggest Unity. And that's one of the reasons also why I picked C# as one of the top languages. And this may be common knowledge here, but with Unity, when you start off, like one of the roadblocks for me is actual modeling, like 3D modeling in Blender or some other program like 3ds Max. It's so difficult. It typically, and it's like an instant brick wall. Like I run into this brick wall that is the art, and I never get into the actual complex gaming. And I think I never really gave the Unity store a fair shake, but you can buy entire packages, and if you want to just get into like the scripting of like, or the effects here, or the physics and all that stuff, you can just look through a lot of code that people have already written. But if you're going to get into game programming, I mean, it might be easier for you just to jump into an already created solution and start expanding upon that. Some of the stuff that's really well put together, they only charge like $50 for it. And then there's other cases where stuff is completely free, but that might help you dealing with game programming. Another thing is this project Euler.net. So this will start. You can see this number one, multiples of 3 and 5. This is actually FizzBuzz. This is like the FizzBuzz test that you see them giving. So this is obviously there's some credence to these types of tests here. But these, I would definitely go to Project Euler and start solving some of these smaller ones. Once again, I'm not the type who actually like feels like, it would help me to sit down and actually do this, but I feel like I'm too busy doing other things. But I actually should practice what I preach and actually sit down and mess with some of these, because I actually have in the past, but I never got past like the top 10 before I was like, that's enough. Because I mean, some of this stuff, this will really make you think. But your noodle is something that's growing all the time, so. The more of this stuff you pump into it, I mean, you're going to be a much better programmer. But like Donald Knuth says, it doesn't take geniuses to be able to do this stuff. Some people are just natural geniuses. Others can start with some of these basic algorithms and start working your way up. And some of this stuff isn't basic at all. Like you're not going to find that you're doing a lot of these types of algorithms in the day-to-day job when it comes to standard web development and stuff like that. But all this stuff will make you a much better computer science or computer programmer. But even beyond all of this stuff, so I can sum it up by just saying, just action, take action. Every day that you take action and that you're writing something, you're solving some problem, you're going to run into algorithms along the way that you're having to write to solve this particular problem or that problem. And, build up this stone foundation for yourself, and don't necessarily think that you're going to be able to just read out of a book and understand how to be a better programmer, especially when it comes to algorithms and things of that nature. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Once again, be on the lookout for these new uploads at 5 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, United States. And thank you, and take care. Bye.